This is Ariel Avila, one of the 4 members of the hip-hop band La Technica. Ariel was called Chucky. You're seeing him in a video from 2010, proud of what he was building. Just 2 months ago, he was murdered in his neighborhood for singing songs like this one.
The Sinaloa Cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the Zetas, are just some of the most dangerous cartels that have terrorized not only for their power in substance trafficking, but also for their brutality, their thirst for violence, and control of culture and freedom of expression. Artists, musicians, journalists who try to denounce the atrocities of these groups have faced the most tragic endings and ended up becoming a warning message for everyone else. So, in this video, we will review the devastating endings of some of them, who left an indelible stain in the history of the fight against drug trafficking and censorship. The rap and trap scene is often wrapped up in themes such as violence, crime, and drug trafficking. Many artists use their music as a form of denunciation, questioning the situation of organized crime. Although exposing the reality of these criminal groups can be a brave act, it often proves dangerous for those who do it. Sadly, some of these artists end up silenced simply for daring to question those who are in power and seem untouchable. One of these artists was a rapper from the Santa Chila neighborhood in Jalisco known as Ramon Conchas, alias Mr. Josie Locote, who was brutally murdered in Tetlan because he messed with the wrong people.
Another rapper linked to gang violence was Ramon Conchas, known as Mr. Josie Locote, who in addition to uploading song videos also recorded himself in initiations or jumps. In reality,
the famous rapper was not a nobody in the world of crime. In his youth, he belonged to a gang called Florencia 13, which was established in Santa Cecilia and was one of the most feared towards the end of the 90s. In his adulthood, already established as one of the leaders of a drug-dealing gang, the 42-year-old rapper used his music to narrate his street experience and explore the dark and violent legends of Mexico's most dangerous neighborhoods. One of his lyrics said, "To give you an idea, you messed with the wrong dog that doesn't bark and devours you in one bite. So don't even be scared, get used to the idea that you were executed." Although these words, as you realize, reflect a defiant and powerful attitude in his songs. Ironically, he himself would become the victim of an execution shortly thereafter, because everything took place in the early morning of April 20th of the year 2018. Mr. Josie's body was found on the streets of Tetlan, Rio Verde, wrapped in blankets, with multiple gunshot wounds all over his body, and accompanied by a message signed by organized crime. The threatening cardboard included the photographs of 2 of his colleagues and warned that the same fate would await those who identified themselves as cholos. It is believed that the message came from the Nueva Plaza Cartel, the rival group that had been disputing control of the sale of illegal substances with the Jalisco Nueva Generación Cartel for a few months. Apparently, Mr. Josie became another victim of this violent battle between these 2 rival groups. And although his fans demanded justice and a quick clarification of what had happened, the truth about his premature and violent death was never revealed, and those responsible were never found. His loss then became a macabre warning message for all the rappers who ever had the courage to sing against the narco leaders, and especially the most powerful ones. The case of Mr. Josie was not, however, the first, nor will it be the last either. Tamaulipas has also been a crucial point in organized crime. Among the remnants of this endless wave is the case of Alejandro Barret, known as 5050 or 5050. The young man expanded his career by creating rap songs for members of organized crime. It was known that the Northeast Cartel paid him more than $500 for each song he wrote. However, he didn't just compose for them, he also produced music for migrants in the United States who had a lot of money. On his YouTube channel titled 5050 Flow Malandro Official, he constantly uploaded videos and reached over 100,000 subscribers. In these videos, he was seen performing his lyrics surrounded by long guns, luxury cars, and money. However, his life marked by danger would take an abrupt 180-degree turn when in 2016, Barret asked God for a sign to know if he truly existed.
He immediately responded to me. Immediately, I started to feel a tremor in my body. An earthquake shook my heart and body. Everything was in motion.
After experiencing the mysticism of God, he decided that he had to make a change in his life, leave behind substances, crime, and not compose music for these groups anymore. Dedicate his life to God and make sure to know the story he was going to tell before deciding whether or not to compose a song. Similarly, although the rapper was about to save his life by distancing himself from the hell of these groups, his days as a man of faith did not last long, and Barret returned to the world of illegal substances, luxuries, and to write commissioned rap without knowing that this would be his worst mistake. Because since September 30th of the year 2019, the rapper had been reported as missing. So the days passed without any signs of the artist, and everything would come to an end in the early morning of October 6th when his body was found in the El Refugio Ejido in Matamoros, Tamaulipas. The cause of his death was a gunshot to the head, allegedly committed by this type of people from the drug trade. So far, neither the family nor the authorities have commented on the tragic event marking the end of his career.
Well, we're back at it again, buddy, but always with our heads held high.
When we think of drug trafficking, Mexico is usually the first country that comes to mind. However, since the year 2008, Argentina has faced serious problems in this area. In the South American nation, drug-related violence has surged, particularly in Rosario, Santa Fe province. The situation in this city has become particularly severe, with violence related to the local substance market reaching alarming levels.
There is crime and poverty. My mom worries about me, so I go to school to pay her back for her concern.
With that, in some neighborhoods of Rosario, social neglect has become or has been exacerbated by the growing influence of the drug trade, which presents itself to young people as the only way out of their situation. The promise of an easy life with quick access to money, luxury cars, and attractive women becomes a tempting alternative for those who seem to have no other way to escape poverty than by delving into organized crime. However, not everyone succumbs to the easy path. This must be made clear. Many choose the risky mission of narrating through rap the harsh reality of young people trapped by the drug mafia. For instance, Ariel Avila, a rap group member with Oscar Bravo, was one of them. Their career took off when they won the 025 contest with the song "The Neighborhood is Dangerous."
Well, let me introduce myself. I bring you this talent. I don't create a monument. I sing violent rap.
We're singing hip-hop because it was the only music we could use to unload it.
Ariel narrated through his hip-hop songs snippets of the harsh stories that devour the city. However, the same rawness that he reflected in his music ended up consuming him. This is because in February of the year 2015, the neighborhood artist had a dispute with two other people in the vicinity of where an illegal substances bunker operated just a few meters from his home. The argument that began when the individuals approached the young man without apparent reason ended tragically, as one of the miscreants pulled out a gun and began to shoot, wounding the rapper with 7 bullets. Ariel Avila tragically lost his life at the young age of 21 years old.
This was one of the songs that Ariel and his friends composed to denounce what happens in the neighborhood. Violence, gunshots, drugs, death.
The end of this artist was a clear message from the drug traffickers about their dominance in the neighborhood and the impunity with which they operate. This unleashed a wave of fury and anger in the community. The neighbors rose in revenge, setting fire to 3 houses, including the bunker, and chasing the alleged killers through the neighborhood. The only thing that remained standing out of fear and a certain respect was a mural of the Santa Muerte. On the other hand, and after the crime, the rap group disbanded. Oscar, the leader, affected by the tragedy, continued his music career, releasing 3 more albums, one of which was in honor of his friend, who is no longer with us. Today, his lyrics are still as raw as before. In fact, his latest creation was Rosario Sangra, dedicated to Ariel and so many others who succumbed to the harshness of the most dangerous neighborhoods. In fact, the chorus resonated with strength and frenzy. The neighborhood is dangerous, reflecting the scars left by violence and disputes between drug gangs in a city paralyzed by crime.
And that's what he wanted, dude, to leave a message for the people who are lost. That's what he wanted.
We aim to represent the neighborhood and
Protest with our music.
What is freedom of expression and journalistic practice when living in a country as dangerous as Mexico?
A group, allegedly from organized crime, issued threats against several media outlets and directly against me for the journalistic work we do in Michoacan.
Mexico is one of the most dangerous countries to practice journalism. Press workers are deeply concerned and distressed about the way they must carry out their work, facing live and direct insecurity linked to organized crime.
That's 6 already, 6 journalist murders so far this year alone.
According to the organization Reporters Without Borders, just in the first half of the year 2023, 6 journalists their lives have been ended in Mexico, who have become part of a growing list that causes outrage and anxiety in the profession and throughout the country. Then, on January 19th, 2021 members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel also threatened to kill the journalist with 20 years of experience, Azucena Oresti.
I assure you that wherever you are, I will find you and make you eat your words, even if you accuse me of femicide, because you don't know me, Ruben Oseguera Cervantes.
The threat made by supporters of Mencho sought to silence, along with criticisms of several media outlets that have extensively covered the atrocious crimes of the cartel. The video showed armed men, and in it, the alleged emissary of the 4-letter cartel launched a severe criticism against Milenio, El Universal, Televisa, and other media for the alleged imbalance in news coverage.
Be fair, because I am not against freedom of speech. Here at your service is Mr. Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, your friend for those who want me as a friend.
The incident alarmed various sectors of society, including politicians such as former President Felipe Calderón Hinojosa and Miguel Angel Osorio Chong, as well as journalistic organizations. Also, the President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, expressed his support for Azucena Oresti, assuring backing and protective measures against the threats. Which to me seems ridiculous, because I have known that the government is linked with these organizations.
I want to express my solidarity with the journalist Azucena. Our government is going to protect those who carry out this
profession. It's our responsibility. However, no specific details were provided on how their safety would be guaranteed against such a dangerous group as Jalisco New Generation. And in turn, the incident was etched in the viewer's memory and is remembered by the journalist as one of the many dangers journalists face daily. And although the threat had no major consequences and Azucena Oresti continues with her work, other journalists have not been so lucky. One of these cases was that of Luis Martin Sanchez Iniguez, correspondent for La Jornada in Tepic, Nayarit, and collaborator in the media outlet Crítica Digital Noticias. The journalist disappeared on July 5th, 2023. Along with him, the computer, the mobile phone, and other equipment of the journalist were taken, in which he probably had sensitive information about very dangerous people.
The journalist Luis Martin Sanchez Iniguez, correspondent for La Jornada in Nayarit, is missing.
Nothing is known about him.
They still had communication at night, but Luis Martin told his wife that the power had gone out, so they ended the call. Since then, she hasn't heard from him.
The same day of his disappearance, 2 other journalists were also reported missing, but were found alive days later. However, Sanchez was fortunate to avoid the same fate. 3 days later, on July 8th, the reporter was found dead, with signs that he had been made to suffer. 2 handwritten signs were found on his body, linking his end to his reporting work.
The communicator's body was found inside a black bag in the town of Aguacate at 6:45 this Saturday.
Following the loss of Sanchez Iniguez, a group of journalists and media workers organized protests in the capital, demanding that the authorities not abandon them and speed up the investigations to find those responsible. However, to this day, the criminals remain free and unpunished. Also, the case of Luis Martin Sanchez Iniguez ended up being just one more man on a long list of journalists who are killed simply for exposing the harsh reality of a country mired in organized crime. Apparently, not even culture is spared from being a target of drug traffickers. And this was the case of the YouTuber Ruben Ortega, better known as Superchinelo. His death has shocked not only his followers, but an entire country that followed his daily adventures filled with tradition and respect.
Welcome everyone to another broadcast of the Superchinelo program, where you will be part of another adventure.
He always wore a mask of the dancers known as chinelos, which is why he would adopt that name to baptize his YouTube channel. His videos were the favorites of his thousands of subscribers because he highlighted Mexican traditions such as customary parties or colorful events in his locality. The YouTuber was a lover of the traditional dance of the Aztec country. Thanks to his videos, the foreign audience and the Mexicans themselves could get to know the most interesting corners of the country and learn about the customary parties of his locality, especially those related to the dance of the chinelos. The YouTuber interviewed the dancers, the members of the band, and anyone who attended these festivals. But on the 1st of September of the year 2022, his adventures would come to an abrupt end. That fateful day, the YouTuber arrived at his home in the town of San Buenaventura in Iztapaluca with his wife and son, unaware that some people were waiting for him at the entrance of his home to end his life. Thus, without giving him time to even react or protect his family, Superchinelo was shot at point-blank range. Subsequently, after finishing this regrettable job, the miscreants fled the scene, leaving the car immobilized with the engine running and Superchinelo lifeless inside. His wife was injured and was taken to a hospital, while his son fortunately escaped unscathed from the shooting, although he surely suffered from emotional traumas. Although the authorities started an investigation, what do you think? Well, yes, what you're thinking. The culprits have not been identified, nor the motives behind this terrible event clarified. But the strange thing about the case is that it doesn't seem to be a random robbery, but rather a settling of scores or an attack perpetrated by very dangerous people who were looking to eliminate him from their path. But here the question is, who could have murdered a YouTuber who was only dedicated to promoting the culture of the country? Well, it is believed that the reason was due to some complaints he had made on his personal Facebook against the Antorcha Campesina organization, but we will never know.
What a show, my people, I welcome you to my channel.
What a show, people, I welcome you to my channel.
Welcome to my channel and a new video, my people, what a show.
Another YouTuber who had the misfortune of crossing paths with unwanted people was Compa Jorge, who had more than 62,000 followers on his YouTube channel, where he used to post content related to his luxurious life, vacations in exclusive places, photos with exotic animals, and especially his all-terrain vehicles, which were worth approximately 500,000 pesos. But not even with all the money in the world could he buy the compassion of his killers.
I'm going to tell you more or less how ugly it is to live in a city like Culiacan. The truth, the dangers that come, and what happened to me, which was something that honestly left me traumatized for life.
Sometime before the events, my buddy Jorge had been deprived of his freedom for supposedly being mistaken for another person who belonged to a gang that was an enemy of his captors.
Boom! They hit me with the gun. They hit me with the tip of the gun. And every time we moved forward, the kid with the butt of the guns he was handling, he threatened me to the head like this, and he took off and put on the safety. They told me it wouldn't cost me anything to kill you here.
After hours of suffering and terror, he was finally released after begging the criminals that if they decided to kill him, at least leave his body in a place where his family could find it. Fortunately, the criminals had a moment of humanity and let him live. Although Jorge thought he had escaped certain death, fate had other plans. On April 18th, 2022, Jorge had gone to a bank branch. He announced this through his Instagram account, which had about 30,000 followers, unaware that among them were his executioners, following his every move. 45 minutes after announcing that he would go to the bank branch at 1:45 in the afternoon, armed men arrived outside the YouTuber's home. Cornered, the guy could do nothing when a hail of bullets hit his body. The attackers fled while the YouTuber's life hung by a thread. The authorities arrived quickly at the scene, but there was nothing they could do. Despite their efforts to try to save the life of the 35-year-old man, the gunshot wounds caused him to lose his life while he was in the ambulance that was taking him to the clinic. Mother, they're going to kill me here.
Just that sincere? I tell you. I said, well, here, yes, now. I said, here.
My buddy Jorge stayed here, I said. At the moment, the reasons why the YouTuber met his end are unknown. The strongest theory, however, was that this was due to the son of the short guy and current leader of that Sinaloa criminal group, because Jorge Luis L. himself published a video in which he recounted the encounters he had with Ivan Archibaldo. Information that really wasn't necessary to say. Throughout the video, the YouTuber described the leader of this group as a very humble person. However, even though in their first encounters he referred to him as Compa, in his video published in 2021, he clearly stated that this character should be referred to as the Sir.
He has become today, well, him the Sir. My respects to the Sir. I don't think he'll see this, but if he does, honestly, respects to my Compa. That's what I used to call him, my Compa. Well, now he is a Sir, and we are at your service.
But what changed between them? Well, we don't know if there was any dispute or if the YouTuber disrespected the leader in some way. What is clear is that anyone who crosses the path of the most dangerous drug traffickers, whether a rapper, a journalist, or a YouTuber, has their days numbered. Nowadays, the number of lives taken by drug trafficking seems almost normalized. Not only has it left a trail of blood and losses, but now they are also deeply infiltrating the culture. Musicians who try to convey a positive message to honest people, heroes who fight daily to improve without resorting to violence, have been silenced in the worst ways. This threat also extends to the media in Mexico, which are constantly face-to-face with organized crime, as well as to YouTubers, who also play a crucial role as social communicators. Remember that every Monday an interview is uploaded of someone who has a life story or who has gone through something sad or something transcendental.